A study published in the Journal of Social and Clinical Psychology found that individuals who believed they had a greater ability to solve problems were more likely to be effective problem solvers than those who did not believe in their ability to solve problems. This study also found that individuals who believed they were unable to solve problems were more likely to experience anxiety and depression. Welcome to Be You, a channel dedicated to helping you be your most authentic self. Today's video is on how we make our problems the biggest. So sit back and enjoy the video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more informative and inspiring content. The question for today is, when was the last time you said to someone, "You don't know how it is"? Let's take a moment to contemplate this sentence. Just by saying these words, we have already entered the mindset of a victim, telling the recipient that if they knew how difficult the situation at hand is for us, they wouldn't have given us the advice they have just offered. We have become overwhelmed by the situation and the effort it would take to try and resolve it. We nip the mere idea of how to approach it in the bud. The most likely scenario is that this has been said to us with good intentions. It is because we think that everybody has it easier than us, and we are the only ones facing difficulties. And it is we who are constantly being pushed to the brink of our capabilities. We are quick to jump to the conclusion that there is no salvation for our tortured souls. We like to get a head start by telling everybody there is no point in finding a solution because nothing is going to change anyway. But these might be exactly the opportunities to stop, think, and change something, even if at first glance it doesn't seem that way. Because in the end, even if we don't find a solution, we are not worse off than in the beginning. At least we didn't remain passive, pawns in the game of life. However, when people are giving out advice, it is very important who we listen to. We have to pay attention to the fact that due to their objectivity, or because they won't be the ones to have to follow their own advice, the advice might actually be good. Most likely, the majority of us would rather listen to someone who is an expert in their field, or he is living that what we told us to do. Of course, there are exceptions, because even if someone has no expertise in the field, he could still have some good advice, and it is worth listening first, and then consider if the person is right about changing something or not. The most important thing about listening to advice is that the person has a certain broadness of mind and is able to present the problem in a broader context, and the different explanation enables us to get to the solution on our own. For that outcome to be possible, we have to keep an open mind. The whole situation and its solution is dependent on us. We are the main character in solving the situation. If we don't have a new, extraordinary, one-of-a-kind disease that nobody in the world knows of, and there is literally not a group of med students writing down every single thing that is happening to you, there is a big chance our problem is not that unique, and other people have encountered it and have successfully solved it. Robin Sharma, in one of his books, says that one just has to find a book written by a person who has had a similar problem. And that is how you find out how the author has faced it. There is a certain appeal to reading autobiographies of successful people. Some people read them just to appear more well-read, but this is where you can see that even successful people have no shortage of problems that are quite often similar to ours, and not all of them were born with a silver spoon in their mouths. If someone is successful, it simply means that they are good at something, no more, no less. One of the difficulties that we can face in resolving our problems is our proximity to it. Let's look at an example. An old lady has lived in a house her whole life. She bought it together with her late husband. She watched her kids grow up in that house. But like her, the house is old. She has grown too weak to take care of the huge rooms. The roof is leaking and there is mold everywhere. The house is falling apart and the family has no money for the upkeep. Yet they don't want to sell it. They also don't want to live in an apartment because it is too small. Sometimes we must take a step back and try to distance ourselves from the problem. This enables us to see the bigger picture. If we are too emotionally attached to the problem, it can prevent us from making decisions that could potentially resolve the whole situation. It could make the difference between living in a huge, cold, moldy house with a huge electricity bill or living in a cozy 2-bedroom apartment with money to spare from the sell. Why it might be good for us to hear an opinion from somebody who is not a part of the problem. Exactly because he is not emotionally attached to the matter and is more focused on solving the problem. So, if we say to someone, "You don't know how it is," well, that's the whole point. It is precisely because they don't know they can remain objective. Some people say that in life there exist no problems, only situations, and the way we handle them. And if we look around us every once in a while, we might actually realize that everybody has their unique way of reacting to certain event. Someone might get angry, mull over it the whole day, probably relive it 50 times before they finally get some shut-eye at 2 a.m., and being annoyed the next day from the lack of sleep, and someone won't think of it twice. If there is so many things bothering us, making us sad or angry, maybe we just have to change the way we look at things. Especially when we have no direct influence on the matter, but if we do, then it is our job to put our best foot forward. Until next time, don't forget. People aren't created to be perfect. We're created to find happiness and to make others happy.